Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah, and I'm joined here by Renee, and we are from the Wood County Board of Developmental Disabilities Occupational Therapy team. Today, we're going to be talking about assistive technology solutions for elopement. I want you to keep in mind that we're recording this on October 27th, 2025. While we are sharing strategies that are available today, we know that the assistive technology world is ever changing. So things that are available today may not be available at the time that you're watching this. I also want you to keep in mind that this presentation is for educational purposes only and should not be a replacement for a full comprehensive assistive technology evaluation. If you're in need of an assistive technology evaluation, please reach out to a trusted provider, or we will provide our contact information at the end of this presentation. To kick us off, I'd like to describe myself. So my name is Sarah. I'm a white, middle-aged female. I have shoulder-length blonde hair. I'm wearing black glasses, and I'm also wearing a black shirt.
Hello, everybody. My name is Renee. To describe myself, I am also a white middle-aged female with dark brown hair up in a ponytail, and I am wearing a black shirt. So moving into the presentation, today we are hoping that you will be able to define assistive technology and elopement, identify 3 assistive technology solutions to prevent elopement, identify 3 assistive technology solutions to respond to elopement, and identify 2 ways to continue learning about elopement. So before we dive into more about elopement, we want to explain assistive technology. So through the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, they define assistive technology as an interactive electronic device, product system, or engineered solution that helps a person to meet their goals of independence, improve functional capacities, vocational skills, and community involvement. So we look at assistive technology, it can either be purchased right off the shelf, modified, or customized to meet the unique needs of each user. Assistive technology is embedded in everyday life now, and we all are using assistive technology. So going off of that definition that we looked at from DODD, we also describe that as any piece of equipment or item that helps with maintaining independence, skills, and involvement in the community. So essentially, we like to say that technology is any tool that makes life easier and better for somebody. All Ohio Department of Developmental Disability Medicaid waivers can be used to purchase assistive technology. So before we dive in, I just want you to self-reflect on what assistive technology you have used today. I'm sure, like many of you, I will say that I have used technology almost constantly in my workday today, started my alarm clock, getting to work, checking my schedule, making emails, phone calls, etc., and now using technology to record this recording. So assistive technology is a common item used throughout days for most of us. Here in this video, there is a breakdown about elopement, and we're not going to watch it for the sake of this video, but I will give you some brief highlights. It talks about the prevalence of elopement and identified that children with developmental disabilities are 4 times more likely to wander off than same-aged peers. This video also describes things that can result in injury or exposure to extreme temperatures or unsafe conditions. Also goes into interactions that someone who wanders off may have with another person out in the community. It identifies risk factors that may attribute to someone wanting to elope. It also goes into warning signs and ways that we can hopefully prevent some elopement from happening. It goes into the necessity to have person-centered plans and effective communication with the individual to reduce those risks for eloping. So we also like to start off by tracking elopement. So I'm gonna let Sarah dive right into that.
So before we can really consider which assistive technology solutions might be beneficial, we need to figure out when is the person eloping, why are they eloping, kind of what's going on. So we asked teams to analyze for patterns. So we want to think about, why is the person eloping? Are they avoiding something? So maybe it's time to do math homework and I elope every day after school when I have to do my math homework. Or maybe they're seeking something out. They just want to go for a walk, or they want to go visit the neighbor's dog. Maybe they're curious about something. They see the garbage truck outside and they want to go outside and check out what's going on. Or maybe they're seeking some sensory input that can't be met in the environment that they're in at the time. We also want to think about when is the person eloping. So is it during the day? Is it in the evening? What kind of weather are they eloping in? Is it only happening in the summertime? Is it only happening in the winter? And then also, how is that person returned to safety? So how is the team able to get that person back into the environment that they're supposed to be in? There's a lot of different ways that we can utilize assistive technology to help teams track when the elopement is happening. So using ChatGPT or another artificial intelligence to create a spreadsheet is a really easy way to create a documentation sheet. So you can literally go into ChatGPT or your preferred AI and just ask it, create a documentation sheet for me for elopement. You can use the good old-fashioned pen and paper and a clipboard as well if that's what works best for your team. You can use a spreadsheet that's shared with others. So in our occupational therapy team, we use a lot of spreadsheets in our SharePoint or OneDrive or Google Drive to gather information that we need to share with one another. To make sure that everyone is completing the documentation, you could create a QR code. Many of you are familiar with seeing QR codes in restaurants to access menus. You can actually create a QR code that would go to a spreadsheet or a Google Drive sheet, and then that team would complete the information in that way. You can also set alarms and reminders to do the tracking from your smart speakers. So for example, if you have a smartphone that has Siri or Google, or you've got a smart speaker in your home, such as Alexa, Google, or Apple Home products, you could set reminders at the beginning and ends of shifts or common times of elopement to make sure that the elopement is being tracked accordingly. Another strategy that we want to use when elopement is occurring is to use communication and visual supports. So we want to ensure that we're communicating with the individual using a system called total communication strategies. Many of us may be able to communicate with words, but if you imagine a time when you're very worked up, emotional about something, or even a time that you're super excited, sometimes it's hard to process a lot of words coming at you. So using things like pictures, sign language, gestures, or even apps on smartphones and tablets can be helpful to promote the global or total communication strategies. One thing that we often use is visual schedules. These provide understanding of a daily routine. They also help the individual know what's going to happen next and any changes that might be happening in their routine. I don't know about you, but if I didn't know what the rest of my day looks like, I would be feeling a little bit anxious. So I'm dependent on my own visual support in my Outlook calendar. Visual schedules can also help with waiting. So for example, if I'm really excited for snack time in the example of this visual schedule on the screen, I'll know that I have to put away my backpack, go to circle time, go to math, and then it'll be time for snack. Another tool that can be used is called a social story, and these provide support to understand the importance of staying safe and the consequences of elopement. Social stories are written from a positive perspective, and they help the individual know rules and expectations of the environment. Honestly, ChatGPT can be used as a tool for creating social stories as well. You can even ask ChatGPT to insert the pictures for you too. Visual directions can also help by providing an alternative to elopement or stop signs on the exits. So a simple octagon stop sign on the door might buy caregivers a couple seconds to redirect the individual to something different. You could also put something on the door that says ask for help first or stop and wait or whatever directive would work for that individual. So here are some photos of different communication and visual supports. Starting in the top left corner, we see an individual using an alternative communication device on a tablet. It looks like they have a kind of an app such as LAMP or Proloquo that can help them use words when maybe they're not able to produce speech or they're feeling overwhelmed and not able to produce speech at that moment. In the top middle there, we have an example of a visual schedule. So it says time clock, check in, complete your work, finish your work, get on the van, and go home. So that's a very broad visual schedule. Visual schedules can also be broken down for each specific task. The next one on the top right is an app that we really like in our department. It's called ChoiceWorks. ChoiceWorks is available for iOS, which means it's available on iPhones or iPads. And with this, you can easily create visual schedules using the icon pictures that they have loaded in, or by taking photos with your app, with your device's camera and adding them right in. So you can create that visual schedule. You can also create something that next one over is showing when I feel this emotion, here are two different things that I can do. So when I'm feeling mad, I can ask a grown-up for help, or I can sit in my beanbag and kind of relax. There's also a timer built in. So we all know that waiting can be very difficult. So it sets a visual timer for waiting and gives reminders of things the individual can do while they're waiting. And then lastly, this app called ChoiceWorks has a built-in feeling scale, and you can kind of track how you're feeling at any given moment or throughout the day. Another visual support that's helpful is the red time timer that many of us know and love. So this timer has the visual indication of how much time is going by, and many of them have an auditory component as well that will ding when the time is up. And then lastly, we have pictured here a smart speaker device that can be used to set reminders, timers, provide communication, reminding folks to stay safe and what they need to do next, maybe even providing some sensory alternatives like calm and soft music.
Okay, so another way we can help support the individual is providing them with an alternative place to go. So instead of eloping, is there a place they can go to that makes them feel safe? That could be somewhere like in the house, the classroom, maybe out in the yard, somewhere that they are able to take a break and excuse themselves and go to kind of self-regulate. You can do sensory breaks tailored throughout the individual's needs. So again, if they are getting overstimulated or are feeling anxious or need a time to unwind, work on self-regulation, just take a break, that would be a great space for them. We do not want to use these as a punishment. So I don't want to say like, you have to do this or you're not going to get to go to your safe space. Like it's never a place to be taken away or to be used in a negative manner. It's a place that can be a positive interaction for them when they really need to have that outlet. So here are a few options of some assistive technology that we can use within these safe places. So we see in the top left here, there's this young girl in this little sensory tent that also has these fun little sensory lights hanging out in there. That's her own private little space that she can go to. In the middle is a gentleman in a soft, cozy beanbag chair. Beanbag chairs are great because they also give you a little bit of that hug, proprioceptive input. They can also help with some of that self-regulation and calming. The next picture on the top right is this young boy who's wearing noise-canceling headphones and has a weighted blanket draped around him. Typically, when you use weighted items, you want to use about 10% of the body weight. So we don't want to do too light or too heavy because that can be a negative effect on the experience that we're looking at. In these safe places, we can also do some type of calming music. So this is a radio or CD player. You can also do like a smart hub such as the Alexa or Google that Sarah recently mentioned. Another fun option is having these smart plugs, which is the bottom middle. We can plug in something like a radio or a lamp, and we can also pair those with a smart hub if we have them, such as the Alexa or Google. We can make it a routine. So let's say I am really overwhelmed. I need my safe place to go to. I can tell Google, turn on Renee's safe place or sensor room, and it will turn on certain type of lamps or certain music or something like that, versus we can say turn on Sarah's sensor room and maybe it'll just turn on a different smart plug plugged into a different light or a different source. And lastly, here we have a star projector that we can put in that can also give some of the extra calming effect. Further, a technology we can use are different sensors. So there are sensors that can go on a door or a window. If we see the bottom picture on the left, that is the door sensor. So it's going on the frame of the door and on the actual door itself. Or again, you can put those on the windows. So how this works is when those two pieces come disconnected, like the door or the window opens, it's going to make a sound. So there's this audible output, and there's a bunch of different options that we can choose from in terms of what the output would be. So One way we can do that is the device itself would make a alarm sound. So right there from that door. There's also some sensors that have a wireless chime that I can plug into an outlet in another room, such as my bedroom or the living room. And so if that door is open or the window is open, it would chime from that outlet where the receiver is plugged in. There's also ones that you can pair with your Google or your Alexa. So when the door is open, the smart hub would announce which door was opened. And then lastly, there are some sensors that can give a recorded voice. So I can have a motion sensor that I can give a personalized recording of, hey, stop, get mom, wait, etc. That caregivers can record themselves, and you just hook it right there by like a doorway maybe, or where we want that recording to happen. All these sensors are really nice because most of them are just battery powered, really quick, easy to install, and there is usually an on-off switch that goes with them as well. Cameras are another really helpful resource to look at when we are considering elopement. So there are cameras that you can put outside. There's also video doorbells. These are a great way to provide physical description of what the individual looks like and what they're wearing that day, especially if there's a caregiver who was busy and doesn't remember exactly what color shirt their child or their loved one was wearing. They can say like, all right, my loved one has their hair up, they're wearing a pink shirt and blue jeans. They can give that physical description. Then they also can see which direction they went. So they went out and I could see that they went to the right outside of the door. Um, they can also pick up that motion activation. So when the door is open or when someone walks past that camera, that's going to pick up that notification. It also provides security and makes you feel like your home is secure and have the ability to pair also with a smart home or smart hub capacity to be able to see who's making the motion at the door. Another assistive technology option are GPS tracking. So there's a couple different styles for this, but these are used to be able to identify the individual's location. They are dependent on cellular service. They come with a variety of wearing options that best suits the individual. So there are ways that you can wear them attached to your clothing or in your clothing, such as a tank top or a belt, to make it as sensory friendly and comfortable for the wearer. There are different kinds, such as the Angel Sense, Geobit, and now there are some fall detection pendants. These work usually with an app, or a caregiver can use that GPS cellular tracking to see where their location is. There are also some smartwatches that have the capacity to allow caregivers to see where the wearer is at and also be able to communicate with them through a two-way option.
We often hear from families that they want to try using an Apple AirTag. And the reason we didn't include that here, they can be a good option for some folks, but just bear in mind that the AirTag has to be in proximity to another iPhone for it to work. So if you have an individual and they run into the woods or the cornfield and they're not around other cell phones, that device is not going to work, as opposed to the ones that Renee just spoke about that work off of cellular, that work just a little bit better. So in the community, we have some additional safety considerations. In the vehicle, using child safety locks or adaptive car seats can be beneficial. We always want to remind families and caregivers that using these devices is never a substitute for supervision by caregivers. And we also want to encourage you to work with someone that specializes in this area. So most of the hospitals and even our supervisor here at the county board is trained in being able to fit folks for appropriate safety devices in the vehicle. In the community, I also encourage families to take a photo upon arrival. So as Renee mentioned, we all get busy as caregivers. We might forget what color shirts we're wearing that day, or is the hair up or down? Did they have their glasses on today or not? So taking a photo upon arrival, you can commemorate your fun family outing and also just have a photo if you should happen to need it. Using a wagon or a stroller, a lot of individuals, especially when we're talking about pediatric individuals, it's pretty standard for them to ride in a wagon or stroller. And when they want to walk instead, which they inevitably will, it could just be a rule that you have as a family that they have to have a hand on. They don't want to hold your hand. They need to have a hand on the wagon or the stroller to keep them within arm's reach. And then sometimes the use of wristbands that are one attached to the individual and one attached to the parent or caregiver can be an appropriate solution. We just want to be mindful that in the case of adults, or if you're a provider, that you've considered any human rights restrictions that may be in play here. Additionally, we may consider an identification bracelet. So the identification bracelet typically says the person's name and who to contact if there's an emergency or if they're lost. Sometimes those bracelets may give additional medical information, including a diagnosis, if they're diabetic or have seizures or have any allergies. You can also sometimes register individuals that are prone to elopement with your local authorities so that they're familiar with the individual, and should they happen to see them in the community, they can help return them to safety. Some communities also have a device called Project Lifesaver, and this is the device that can be worn as a bracelet or anklet and contacts. It provides the location of the individual through the sheriff's office. So you as a caregiver can't access that information immediately. You'd have to contact the sheriff's office to find the location of the individual. Sometimes using an alternative lock or door handles can also be beneficial. So child safety locks, or just the plastic coverings that you can buy at many big box stores can help prevent individuals from opening the door. And again, we just want to be considerate of individuals' human rights. So especially when they get to be adult age, we want to make sure that we have taken any of these measures through the Human Rights Committee to make sure that they're appropriate. If you're looking for additional ways to learn about assistive technology, you can continue watching some of these videos that we've created, or you can schedule a tour in person or virtually of our assistive technology demonstration home, which is located in Bowling Green, Ohio. We also have activities that we can do in the smart home, such as escape rooms, cooking groups, and making low-tech assistive technology. And for individuals that are served by county boards, they can actually have an overnight stay at the house so they can trial using some of the assistive technology and remote supports to see if it works for them. If you are someone that's looking to trial assistive technology, there's assistive technology lending programs throughout the state of Ohio. This map that's located on the left-hand side here can be found on the Department of Developmental Disabilities website. In the greater Ohio area, AT Ohio, as well as O'Callie's Lending Library are good resources. And many of the centers for independent living across the state also have assistive technology programs. Every state has an AT Act program. In Ohio, that's AT Ohio. But if you're not in Ohio, you can go to AT3 and look up your state's agency as well. We hope you've enjoyed our presentation and that it gives you some good oversight of assistive technology that can be used for elopement. If you have any questions, you can contact our team at remote supports at woodcountydd.org. Thank you so much.